This is the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas, and the whole shebang, not to mention the King of Cleveland, and of course, Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, and you're listening to the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show.
Produced by the Cleveland Sound Radio Network. Here is the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, hosted by Glenn Moore and Steve Guy.
Welcome. This is Awesome Wrestling Show here on SteelySound.com. I'm Glenn Moore, joined here by Steve Guy. And Steve, it's that time of the month. No, not
what's that?
Not for you.
Awkward way to start the show, Glenn.
But it's that time for AIW to have their monthly show, and who better to have in studio? I'm not sure how many times we've had this man in studio. I think he's eclipsed EC3's three-time presence on the show, but we have AIW owner, main guy, the man. Over that
main guy, that's your title.
The main guy.
The main guy.
The man with many hats, Mr. John Thorne.
What he also alluded to, John, is that you are our monthly visitor.
I thought he was going to segue right into the Divas Revolution with that open.
All right, Faith No More is the show on Friday here in Cleveland. You usually bring in a guy from wrestling past. You had Vader in town. Too Cold Scorpio has made his presence. The Dangerous Doug Gilbert. You have Hardcore Holly in town on Friday.
It's getting weird.
And I'm looking forward to it because we all know Hardcore Holly as Steve loves him as Spark Plug.
Sparky Plug.
And
Thurman Sparky.
Yeah.
That's right.
Teaming with Crash Holly, rest his soul. Back in the Attitude Era. Great tag team. But Hardcore Holly going to be here. You have he's putting a clinic on Thursday, and there's still spots open for that. People want to.
Yeah, for any trained professional wrestlers, if you want to come and train with who I consider, when I look at Bob Corholly, that's like a man. Like, I will never be, I'm 31 years old. I feel like I am not a man.
Yeah.
Like, you look at Bob Holly, that is a man. That is fuck, that's a man. That guy probably does some manly shit. He probably works on cars, beats people up.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it when I booked him, but he was on WWE TV for 15 straight years.
Yeah, he's tough enough too.
That's an unreal amount of time. I think he was with them up until 4 or 5 years ago. So
he was there for a while, man.
It's I don't have his Wikipedia up in front of me, Stone Cold Steve Austin style, but he was there for quite some time. So I'm very much looking forward to it. We've been trying to book Bob Holly for at least a year, but he you wouldn't. I don't know if it's shocking or what, but he is booked solid all the time. Bob Holly is huge in Europe. He was always wrestling in Europe. So we were finally able to get him. So I'm very much looking forward to it because I think no matter what, Bob Holly brings such a combustible situation to an independent wrestling event.
How do you like me now?
The hot shot.
Yeah.
I feel like Bob Holly,
Big shot.
He probably, if he's riding a motorcycle and it breaks down,
he could fix it.
Yeah, and if he can't fix it, he's probably going to pick it up and carry it to the next place that can.
That is a man.
Yeah.
Ladies, if you ever want to see a man in person, come see Bob Holly this Friday because that is a man. I don't even know how old he is, but he is terrifying looking.
Now, we're recording this on a Tuesday, and we're just, it's out there, so we're going to talk about it.
Goes up on a Tuesday?
Yeah. You have him facing Nick Gage, which Nick Gage is becoming an AIW regular. Some great matches last few months here in Cleveland for Nick Gage ever since he got out of prison, but Nick Gage is back in jail. You have him scheduled against Bob Holly, Hardcore Holly. I mean, I'm not even going to ask about this situation because we don't really know what's going on with Nick. But as a promoter, you got to be pulling your hair out.
Yeah, I'm hoping by the time Friday rolls around, whatever the situation is, it'll be resolved and, come out to be a big misunderstanding. But I've, we've been in contact with the King, Nick Gage's camp. No official cancellation.
His bishops, if you will.
Yeah, he has handlers, as you would think when you look at Nick Gage. That's a man that needs handlers, and he does have handlers. So we've been in contact with them, and we haven't gotten any official word, here or there what's gonna happen. So I'm not gonna speculate. I'm just hoping for the best. But yes, as a promoter, it is a little bit frustrating because when I look at the show, it's a very good, well-rounded show, but that was the match that I think everybody in the world wanted to see because it was so unpredictable. When we book these, like, I guess former, television stars, a lot of people will just see them on the flyer and be like, well, this is stupid. What are you booking this guy for? He doesn't do any flips or whatever. But then, there's always kind of a method to our madness. For example, when we brought in Buff Bagwell a couple of years ago, everyone's like, oh, why would you book Buff Bagwell? Because, there's a lot that these guys have to offer if you put them in the right situation. And I think, when we announced Hardcore Holly, there was a lot of people thinking the same thing. And then when we announced Hardcore Holly versus Nick Gage, everyone's like, oh my God, that's the match I never knew I wanted to see more than anything. So it's a little worrisome. It's a little frustrating. All I can do is hope for the best. And, if for some reason Nick is not unable to resolve the situation, I'm just going to have to think on the fly and come up with something. It's not like it hasn't happened to AIW before. We have, a history of being put in just strange situations where we have to book on the fly, and I think at this point we're pretty good at it. So I'm just gonna hope for the best. But man,
what about Hardcore Holly versus a grizzly bear?
Hardcore Holly wins. That's no question.
So all right, don't book that.
The thing about Hardcore Holly is, again, Hardcore Holly, you think, okay, he's on par with Nick Gage, and Nick Gage is extremely hardcore. But Holly, started off wrestling as a mat guy. He's a
Yeah.
He's not just a hardcore guy.
And don't be fooled. Nick Gage is a great professional wrestler.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think is great about Nick Gage, and I'm really, really, really hoping that he resolves the situation not only for AIW, but he's a guy that when you book him, it's like, okay, this is pro wrestling. This is pro wrestling. But when Nick Gage comes out, it kind of makes you think, like, maybe this guy's a little bit more real than the other guys. He's definitely a guy that the mood totally changes on whatever event that he's on when he comes out. He just has such a presence about him, and I think it would just be, such a shame for him to have, he's one of, the biggest kind of drawing stars right now in the independent circuit, and I think it would be a shame for, him to only have such a short run back on the independents after just being released from prison after 5 years.
He's a guy that you wonder, when he comes out, you're like, does he know what kayfabe is?
Yeah, I mean, does he know that and that's the thing, and I think that's his appeal. Like, everyone loves to see the matches with the flips and the good technical wrestling, but and that's I think everyone looks at that as this is. They look at that within a wrestling context of, all the fans, know the deal at this point.
Right.
But when Nick Gage comes out, I think people kind of second guess what they think they know about wrestling.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes them believe almost again. And I think that's what's great about Nick Gage. So, I'm hoping for the best.
But I think it's a if Nick had come here to Cleveland on Friday, that you have him facing Holly, because we all have seen Tough Enough and we've seen Holly. He's known to be really stiff in the ring, a guy that has hurt a lot of people, not on purpose, but on purpose too, because we've seen Tough Enough. But having against Gage, who will do anything, in the ring, he's open to anything. They like that. You said it right. It could be a match that nobody even members wants to see, because it's something that you wouldn't dream of pairing these two guys together ever.
It's honestly, it is the most combustible situation that I can think of. So many things could possibly go wrong, which I think makes it great. It makes it great for fans because, you don't know what you're going to show up on Friday and you have no idea what is going to happen. Are these guys going to work together? Are these guys going to be, not get along backstage? Both have pretty strong, personalities, very strong, beliefs and how they present themselves, not only in front of the crowd but behind the scenes as well. So I think that's just what pro wrestling's all about. It's just you put those weird situations together and you just I'm just like everybody else. I'm gonna be out there front and center watching this thing unfold, because I could tell these guys what to do or what I want them to do, but that doesn't mean they're going to listen to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm only, I could give them a little bit of direction, but the appeal to this is how unpredictable and how combustible this situation really is. And that's what I think could potentially be great about this, all things considered, if Nick Gage is able to get his situation sorted out in the next few days.
You have a whole lineup, a card for Friday. Faith No More, AIWrestling.com is the website if you want to buy tickets. Tickets still available?
Absolutely, tickets are still available.
This first row, ringside is pretty much...
Yeah, I believe that the front row did sell out.
Okay.
But there's plenty of general admissions tickets still available. There's not a bad seat in Mount Carmel
Right.
at all. For $20 you can go sit in the bleachers and see everything. So yeah, I mean we're honestly, this is kind of like our first real show post Absolution. We did the Battle of the Sexes thing at Geek Fest. That was kind of like a buffer event in between, the AIW seasons, quote unquote. So we're hoping we can keep that momentum rolling though from Absolution and continue to sell these events out in the Cleveland area.
Yeah, back at Mount Carmel,
Yeah.
off of Detroit there on the west side.
So AIWrestling.com's website, or it can come out to the venue day of the show.
Tickets
and,
will be available for $20 at the door.
Now, give us a rundown of the card. We talked about Gage. We talked about Holly, Cleveland staple Johnny Gargano, who is going to be on NXT tomorrow for a match. It was taped earlier, but
he will be making his NXT in-ring debut.
How's that for
Yeah.
you? Because I know a lot of guys have come through Cleveland, have wrestled for you. Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, list goes on. But Johnny Gargano is from Cleveland. He's a Cleveland boy.
He is Cleveland wrestling.
He is. He's Johnny Wrestling. And how's that cool for you, the guy that you work closely? He's in charge of your wrestling clinic, your school, and to see him on NXT and, spoiler alert, win a match, tag team match.
Ooh, we get scoops. Glenn's got scoops.
Oh, man.
How's that for you, just as his friend, but also a guy that you worked so closely for so many years?
It's so bizarre because, even 5 years ago, you would have never – it was so rare for, like, an independent guy to get a deal. And now, it's becoming so common, it's almost weird. But, for Johnny Gargano, I talked to him about this before. He'd always, kind of like, he knew that he was he would get there somehow, some way. And it's like, it's almost like he's beaten the system somehow. He's himself. He didn't get some weird name. He's Johnny Gargano. He's brought in, as if he's, a big star, which he is. But it's just so weird to see WWE treating, independent wrestlers like that and almost, putting them up on a pedestal. So it's really cool. I've known Gargano since probably, I don't know, I think like his 6th ever match or something crazy like that. He's just, he's one of those guys that's been around forever since, he was 16, 17 years old. And it's amazing to see what he was and what he's become. And now, to be brought into WWE NXT, which is arguably probably the hottest wrestling program, on quote unquote television today.
Right.
It's bizarre. That's really like, it's amazing and bizarre all at the same time because, not only is he on WWE, but I can still book him on my show this Friday.
Right.
And my show's going forward. So, I know that there's like, people feel like NXT and Triple H are trying to kill the indies and raid the indies, but, they could have just they could sign Johnny Gargano. They could sign Blue Pants, and not allow independent promoters to take advantage of the exposure. And, they're not signing these people. They're allowing them to continue to supplement their income. And, it's almost helping independent wrestling because, how many people, I think Gargano told me like he got something like 1,000 more followers as soon as his promo aired on NXT. Like minutes later, his like WWE tweeted about him, and then like as soon as that machine gets behind you, it just makes so many more people aware of who you are. and to allow him to now, take that newfound fame and go out and almost draw those fans to other independent promotions, it's so beneficial for, people like me who can't afford to advertise whatsoever, because advertising is just such an insane amount of money for such little return.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I could ramble about this forever, but for he's like the first like Cleveland guy. You got Dolph Ziggler, you got The Miz, but those, they went a little bit of a different route. This guy has earned his stripes and grown up in front of, Cleveland area professional wrestling fans. So it's like, that's like our guy that's made it. That's like the first, hey, this is our guy. We've watched him since day one. And it's, it's amazing and weird and, so many other things all at once.
Well, and it's interesting, but it also, oddly enough, saves WWE money by allowing them to go out and still do the independent shows, but these guys are still developing.
Right.
They're still wrestling matches, so they're still training, they're still getting in shape, they're still learning while they're doing everything, and they don't have to pay for that development and invest that money into them.
Right. I mean, when you sign with WWE, they got to pay for you to move. They got to do so many different things. For a guy like Johnny Gargano, like, does he need to really train 5 days a week at the Performance Center with, the football players and the models? I mean, you never stop learning. But for a guy like him, he's ready to go. And and that's an asset to NXT as well, because they have so many, for every seasoned independent guy that they've signed, they have a lot of homegrown guys that haven't been working the independents and haven't been working with live crowds for as long as I think Gargano has like it's over 10 years experience. That's you can't buy that no matter what. You have to go out there and you have to put the work in. So, he's just as beneficial coming in and working with, some of the more inexperienced guys. And I think, we're going to see more of this, of them, just kind of booking people, for their house shows and things like that to, it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah. It's impressive too. I mean, they were on WWE.com with like a sit down, write up interview.
Right.
The exposure that Johnny has just gotten out of this is phenomenal.
I actually have a funny.
Awesome.
I have a funny story that I just thought of. When they taped it a couple weeks ago, we do training on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I may have been here, or I don't know. For some reason, something happened, and I didn't go to class on Tuesday, so I showed up on Thursday, and Johnny wasn't there, and Candace was there, and I was like, this is weird. Johnny's girlfriend is here running the class, but Johnny's not here. Like, I thought that, maybe they were, their anniversary was coming up, so I thought that because we have 2 sessions now, I thought they were going to split the sessions and go shopping for each other or something. I had no idea, and I was just like, I made a joke. I was just like, oh, is NXT taping today or something? And like, they're like, oh yeah, you weren't here on Tuesday. He's got a job interview somewhere today, and I had no idea. I was totally oblivious until I went on Twitter later, and I was like, oh, there was an NXT taping today. He is at NXT. I totally was making a joke.
It's good for WWE too, because I feel like guys like Gargano and other guys, they let come, let wrestle, and they pay them, there's no contract, that they almost kind of test the waters with certain wrestlers. They put them on social media, they put them on WWE.com, and if they get a good reaction, fans respond, they get a good have a good following, WWE can say, okay, well, this guy, we put him on TV, we're not signed to him, there's no contract, but he still moves the needle a little bit. It's good to see WWE test some guys and see if they're worth the investment of maybe giving a contract later on. So it's good for both sides. It's good for you, the promoter, for the wrestler, and also WWE, because they're not putting a contract out, but they can test the waters and see, okay, he's good in the ring, but is he going to make a splash outside the ring, and people are going to react to him being on NXT?
And I think, it's also, I have no idea what Triple H's plan is or anything like that.
You don't talk to Paul all the time?
No,
No?
never talk to Paul. But I think,
Hey,
I think as much flack as he gets, I think he is a pro wrestler's wrestler. I think, he prefers the pro wrestling craft versus the sports entertaining and things like that. And, back up until I actually tweeted about this earlier today. Back up until about 1999 or
John
2000.
Thorne, AIW.
At John Thorne, AIW, correct. WWE used to allow you to book their talent. And similar to like what TNA does with the third-party bookings, you can book any TNA guy on an indie show.
Right.
WWF used to allow you to do that up until about 1999 or 2000, which, was just another way for those guys to supplement their income, help out, the draws of the at the time the local independent companies.
Yeah.
I think there's like a famous story where Mick Foley had like a WWF world title match on pay-per-view on a Sunday, and on Saturday night he was wrestling somewhere in the middle of Ohio. Just the day, and then he had to drive himself all the way to the pay-per-view because he wanted to get that payday. But who knows? Maybe things will go back to kind of like that a little bit, to where you can book these NXT people on their off weekends and things like that. I mean, I'm just, speculating at this point, but if that something like that were to happen, that would, that could be a whole different ballgame for independent wrestling.
Did you know that Vince McMahon made an appearance at a indie show?
Yeah, John Cena Senior's indie show.
And some big fat guy was, I think, facing Cena or something, and Vince knocked out the fat guy or something.
And got a FU or something.
Yeah, at an indie show in front of like 100 people.
Because John Cena's dad he does a lot of indie shows in the Massachusetts area. But yeah, there's all, like, if you look around on the internet enough, like you could find all these wacky results from the 90s, like Attitude Era guys, like just wrestling on these random independent events. Like, I would love it if you were able to do that, because just imagine, you see what NXT does for crowds. Just imagine if you could book somebody that they feature on a weekly basis.
Oh, imagine if Kevin came back.
Oh my God!
He's in one of your shows right now.
I've tried so many times. It's like, hey man, you want to help try to promote that Cleveland NXT event?
Yeah.
But it's sold out, so the conversation ended before it started.
And we talked about that when NXT first came to Cleveland, and the topic was, is NXT hurting the indie scene, with plucking guys out, that are making the rounds that you regularly see.
I don't think so, because that
I don't think so either.
That opens up spots for guys like Frankie Flynn.
Oh boy,
he's got to train and develop so that he can one day be a superstar.
Yeah, he could be the next Kevin Owens. You never know.
He could be. He could be. He's the next Uha Nation, or whatever they decide to name Uha now.
Apollo Crews.
Apollo Crews.
But that's the thing, and I think that's kind of, what
different body type.
What I struggle with sometimes is, like, do we want to, does AIW want to go the dream match top to bottom, route, or do we want to try to develop some of these newer guys? And I think we found a good middle ground, for every, dream match type of situation, the Nick Gage versus Hardcore Hollies,
Sure.
You got guys like, Frankie Flynn or Alex Daniels or Tyler Thomas, floating around in the early, preliminary card area developing.
Come on. Can we not put Frankie Flynn in the same class as Alex Daniels and Tyler Thomas?
Frankie
Are you
Flynn.
serious?
Frankie Flynn is going to be a star.
Well, if what you
Prince
mean,
of Broadway.
If what you mean is that Alex Daniels was in the training class ahead of Frankie Flynn's training class, then yes, we can absolutely not put them in the same class
than Frankie Flynn.
Hey, I'm not saying Alex Daniels isn't good either, but that's the thing, is we're trying to develop some newer guys.
Yeah, okay.
Frankie,
fantastic, huh?
And Tyler Thomas he's young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good though. He's good.
He's good.
What is he, 19, 20? That kid even get a beer at a show yet, or what?
Oh, I don't think he can get a beer.
No.
We took Alex Daniels to Canada, and he's allowed to. He's young too. He's only 19, and myself and Dick Justice, because he's allowed to get in bars in Canada. We taught him how to order drinks at the bar. We took the kid on the road and taught him how to get drunk like a real veteran.
That's wrestling school 101 right there.
Right. That's what Dick Slater would be doing.
Yeah.
Is Dick Justice going to be there Friday?
Yeah, he's wrestling Nightmare Freddy.
Nightmare
There you
Freddy
go, yeah.
returning.
The saga comes to an end.
Now, I've watched the videos that Dick has been posting. It's all him production, everything?
There's a little bit of one of my hats involved in that
All right,
one.
all right.
Dick,
The man.
Dick produced like the rough cut, and then I did things like score it and put the music into it and chop it up.
Regular John Williams.
Yeah,
I was waiting for
I made the intro with the Dick Craven and all that.
I was waiting for a cease and desist from New Line Cinemas,
Hey, but nothing yet. We haven't got a copyright strike on YouTube yet.
or even like a personal letter from Wes Craven before he passed.
Oh, well, I don't think he's gonna be sending one these days.
Come on,
No.
where'd you get that footage of Cleveland? Is that? I mean, that's kind of old. That's like early 2000s, probably.
I rented a helicopter, man.
Bullshit.
There's a helicopter
It's
in the
got a
budget.
drone. It's a drone.
Yeah,
You got a
drone.
drone.
I borrowed one of the Sandman's drones. Sandman big in the drone industry these days.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I talked to him in New Jersey. He said he doesn't want to take any bookings because he's really got a good drone business going.
What could you possibly do with a drone
He
business?
says he films golf courses.
Oh my
He's
God.
dead serious about it.
That's a good business. There you go.
Oh, brother, I'm making so much money at these golf courses with this drone. And then he showed me videos of his drones. I was like, okay, man. Well, I just want you to come out and pop that Singapore cane on a couple guys.
Yeah. Smash a beer can on your head.
Says he's making so much money, you don't even need to take bookings anymore.
Oh wow.
But does he want to take the bookings?
Yeah.
Oh no, he said he's probably got a golf course gig that weekend, the weekend of my show.
Yeah.
That's what he
Get
told
it.
me.
You gotta fly him in same day.
So
Fly
he's
him
got a
out
lot of golf
that
course
night.
gigs these days.
Give him a red eye.
Had no interest in giving me his phone number.
Can you imagine Sandman rolling up in like a golf polo and khaki pants? Ready with his
booked
drone.
Sandman when I was 17 years old. First time I ever had anyone ask me where to get cocaine.
Oh,
Did you know the answer?
Oh, I found it for him.
God.
You learned it real quick.
Oh yeah, he was just blowing rails like crazy.
Can we get Book Sandman hashtag going? Can we get that trending for
Book-
you?
Dude, he's got
Book
he's
Sam.
got a drone business.
He's too busy.
Does he have Twitter? Does he even have Twitter?
Oh, I think he does, but it's something crazy.
He doesn't need it.
I think he forgot his old login and he made another Twitter. So there's like
Well, he is like what?
I think
50?
there's like a verified Sandman account that's been abandoned like years ago, and now there's like
oh my God.
there's some other like he has a Twitter, but it's like it's like a stupid
He needs to
handle.
hire a social media guy to handle his personal affairs.
Another one of my
Sandman
hats.
drones at Sandman drones.
Sandman drone.
Sandman drone business.
There's
Verified check.
His drones just carry a cane, or that's how you know it's Sandman.
I love the Sandman. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, it's great. He's great. All right, and people are listening. We have people all over the country, all over the world listening, and
Remember when Sandman didn't get out of the ring when he was going to be Vince McMahon's son? He forgot.
was it?
That's why he got fired, I think.
Oh, I thought I got fired for.
He was supposed to get out of the ring.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it.
I liked it when he was at the one night stand, and Stone Cold came out, and he was drinking beer, and you could see in the ring, in the pay per view, that Sandman is just yelling at Stone Cold to give him a beer, and Stone Cold, he has the mic, he goes, "God, all right, here's a beer, just take it, get away from me," like live on the mic. It was great. Just Stone Cold Sandman.
Now he's running drones, man.
Now I want to talk to you about a thing that popped up on Reddit and people talking on other podcasts and whatnot, is the use of the "This Is Awesome" chant, and our show is named after the chant. We've made it more popular, right, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like,
That's what we do is get people popular.
Yeah.
Hashtag get John Thorne famous.
oh boy, how's that working out?
I'm not famous yet.
No,
That's why we got to keep plugging it.
but okay, I was gonna bring this up too. But dude, you have on YouTube the most viewed video on your channel, AI Wrestling.
You're in it.
Your match.
Yeah.
Beating up a chick.
So we're like, it's almost 700,000 views. So how come you're not famous from that?
You're like a
don't you
regular
put-
Cleveland Browns offensive line coach.
I'm going to be the
Allegedly.
first video.
Allegedly.
I'm going to be the first video on our YouTube channel to crack 1 million.
You know what you should do? Just plaster a link to your Twitter on, put a link on there that follows your head around the whole match.
I'm
Click
gonna put
here
a-
to follow.
I'm going to put an annotation on there.
I mean, you
Click here to
should.
follow me.
You want to follow this guy? Is the use of the "This Is Awesome" chant because we're so used to mediocre wrestling in WWE that when something average happens, we all get excited and start chanting "This is awesome" for the littlest. And Stevie, a perfect example.
I don't
of what
ever
happened.
chant "This is awesome"
I don't either, unless it's
unless Shane McMahon came out.
okay. That would be awesome. But you have a good example that we use Absolution when Vader came out.
Right. I mean, well, some people we say like you talk about how the Cesaro Owens matches are
They're
not
good.
mediocre. They're good.
Yeah.
And they're not like amazing, fantastic. And people will chant, "This is awesome." And there are definitely moments where I don't agree with the crowd chanting. But my other pet peeve is when somebody older comes out, does like one thing, bounces off the ropes. That's about it. Or like an Absolution, Vader just basically belly bounced someone,
Yeah.
and everybody starts chanting, "You still got it."
Hate Vader.
What does he still have?
Don't hate on Vader, dude.
What do these people still have?
They still got it.
What?
They never lost it.
I'm not sure what it is that they lost.
Yeah, I don't get
I'm
that.
not sure. Oh, I mean, I do know what it is they lost. I'm not sure what it is they still have.
Yeah.
There's plenty of moments where it's like, no, stop it. They don't still have it.
And that goes in with the whole aura of we've seen such mediocre wrestling for so many years with WWE now that we see something that's maybe considered okay, pretty cool, pretty good, but it's nothing like what it used to be. When I think John, for example, before the show is Malenko and
Right.
Benoit. Well,
Sure.
we'll strike that from the
Or
podcast.
Jericho Malenko.
Yeah, matches like that were almost 5-star no matter what because they were such good wrestling in the ring. Now we see
Armbar.
something. Yeah, we see something now that is okay, decent, but
Yeah.
people go apeshit over it because it's a little bit better than what we're used to, and the bar has been lowered dramatically.
Yeah. I mean, agreed. Every once in a while you get... But at the same time, I think that when we do get a fantastic match, we're also so jaded at this point that we then look back at it and like, it wasn't really that good. But maybe it was.
I also think a big problem in WWE is you don't get the stories like you used to, and like nobody ever gets like red hot, and nobody ever gets like a huge heel run. It's like, I've been listening to the Ric Flair podcast a lot, and he says, Arn Anderson always tells him everyone has to bat 500 in the WWE. You win one, you lose one. You win one, you lose one. And I think, that has a great effect on, you're never going to get a Stone Cold Steve Austin that way, which, that live atmosphere almost contributes to an awesome match. But, then again, to go back what you guys were saying, yeah, I guess we have kind of been conditioned to a not so great, presentation of wrestling in the last, since WCW went out of business, probably. They just, you had that little bit when, Heyman was booking SmackDown, and you had the SmackDown 6 and stuff like that. But it's just times are changing. I think WWE wants people to wrestle a safer style so they don't get hurt. I don't know.
Oddly enough,
I think to be honest, I think NXT's good, but I don't think it's nearly as good as what people say it is.
Yeah.
I just think it's so different than what WWE has presented in the last 15 years that people are dying to see some sort of athleticism and some sort of, just different wrestling.
Right.
Like look at Cena and Kevin Owens, for example. They would never put a match like that on 5 years ago.
True.
That series. They would never allow somebody to go out there and wrestle like that, and take those kind of chances with the top star in the industry.
The guy, yeah.
So it's really hard to agree and disagree at the same time. I just think it's just a different time. I think there's so many different aspects that go into why people think things are awesome now compared to like before we went on the air. We were talking about this, like, to me, like Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko 2 out of 3 falls in ECW. Now that is just like awesome professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Sure.
But in this day and age, you are not going to see that.
No.
The only way you're going to see something like that is on an independent where there are no handcuffs. and no restrictions. But to go back, are you really going to see that because it's on an independent and it's so hard, for an independent to get that kind of big appeal? You know what I mean? It's just it's weird. This is a weird topic that there's probably no right or wrong.
And it kind of goes back to one of the conversations we had previously, where one of my points was that fans sometimes like to, I feel like, chant for the sake of chanting, and aren't necessarily paying attention to it as well. Like this is awesome. Sometimes when it's not that awesome, okay, a guy went through a barricade, or at one point it seemed like every single tag team had somebody that was doing a dive between the ropes, and it's like, okay, this is awesome, but we see it all the time. Or jumping the gun on doing the "you still." I really hate the "you still got it" chant. The "you still got it" chants that we see anymore would be like the equivalent if you went to an NBA game, they put Bill Russell in, and he throws an inbound pass, and everybody starts chanting "you still got it."
But I do think it
takes skill to do that sometimes.
I guess
yeah.
I guess to kind of debate with you a little bit. I do think whether they got it or not, I think, at least on the independent level, I think that the fans want to show respect to that person, whether they got it or not, because at one point they did have it, or at one point they did really enjoy that person. So, they don't want them to come out and feel like totally washed up and totally just irrelevant.
I feel like that's a dangerous thing, though. Don't put that in a guy's mind. These wrestlers are very proud. There's some of these guys who don't need to think that they still got it. I will tell you that Scorpio has still got it.
He does still have it.
He is unbelievable.
Little Guido still has it as well.
He absolutely does.
Vader still has it.
No,
Vader.
He's
Vader has is being annoying,
and he's flexible.
Come on.
Nunzio has it.
I'm glad he's stopped calling.
When we talk about storytelling not really happening right now, oddly enough, in my mind, one of the best pieces of professional wrestling storytelling on television in the last 5 years, I think, happened over at TNA when they bring in the character of EC3. And it could be easy to say, oh, well, because he's been on the show enough, whatever. But it just so happens that that's the case. Because here you have this character, the nephew of Dixie.
And they pushed them properly. He's still undefeated, I think.
Yeah, it was steady. It was
driving everybody nuts, getting all sorts of heat as a heel, played the role perfectly, and eventually it culminates in that title win. But it's not like he came in and he won it right away, and he was there, but he wasn't necessarily the big name guy. But he'd intermingle with the headline names, and he was just
they built him up, and they tried to, he had a brief little run in WWE that is not very memorable.
Right.
So they brought him in, and they tried to brand him as their guy, and they tried to build him, and they built him up properly. It just sucks that TNA was almost so far gone at that point to where people had given up on it.
Right.
And with the network changes, and they lost 50% of their viewership and things like that. It's just an unfortunate situation, but they did do it right, and they did build him up, and they did put him in there. He beat Sting, he beat Kurt Angle, he beat all these guys, and that's the way you do it. Unfortunately, here's the thing that is kind of frustrating as a promoter about wrestling fans is everyone wants something to mean something. All the fans want a reason for it, but nobody wants to pay attention for the ride to get there.
Right.
Because it's the age of information, and everyone's refreshing their phones, and everyone the world moves so fast now, and I think this is WWE's problem too, is they're scared to invest the time because with the way society is today, nobody has the attention span. But, with like you're saying about EC3, for the people that did go along for the ride, they thought it was awesome and it made total sense. But there's people that would be like, oh, I'm bored. I'm not watching this anymore. I'm giving up on this. That's what's hard as a promoter because you want to tell a story.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a longer narrative. Like, for example, with the Dudes on TV storyline that we just did.
Oh, what for almost a year?
People were so mad at all the dudes on TV, cheating to win, blah, blah, they kept using the ring bell. Everyone's like, oh, this is, we're getting reviews and things on Twitter. This is so stupid. Why can't there be a clean finish? Why can't they just win? Well, because we were trying to make people understand that they are the villains, you know?
Bad guys.
And it was eventually going to be paid off in the big 5-on-5 at Absolution. We knew where we were going, but people were just like, oh, this is dumb, this is dumb. And then when we get there, everyone's like, oh, my God, this is awesome. This match was amazing. Yeah, everyone in it was extremely talented, but it meant so much more because there was all the shenanigans building up to it.
And even the story within the match itself as it starts, and Joe comes out and doesn't shake hands or anything with EC3, just kind of ignores him all the way to the end of the point where EC3 is about to leave and go backstage, and Joe's like, you made a deal, you know, you gotta suck it.
And that's, you know, and that's the thing, you know, it's such a fine line, you know, being a promoter, and I'm sure WWE even, you know, struggles with it. It's like, how long do you want to stretch a storyline out? Because people do not want to go along for the ride anymore.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about the days, you know, back in the day, they had 4 pay-per-views to worry about. They could build for months.
Sure.
You know, now they got to worry about a pay-per-view every month. Now they're doing additional specials, you know, every month on the network to try to make those matter too. It's just like, it's hard.
I think where they struggle, though, too, is once they finish a storyline, they completely abandon it, and they shouldn't necessarily. And what I mean by that is you have Rusev, who's this unstoppable force, and it's Rusev versus America, and one of his big feuds is Mark Henry for the longest time. And it's like, okay, great. And then next thing you know, Rusev beats Mark Henry, and then boom, they're on the same team together for the Authority fighting at Survivor Series. And it's like, well, wait a minute, these guys just hated each other 2 weeks ago.
It's almost as if, you know, like, listen, I'm a WWE guy through and through forever, but, and, you know, have been my whole life, but it's almost as if their model now is to insult the intelligence of the wrestling fan.
Right.
You know, how many times has Kane turned heel and face, or the Big Show turned heel and face, or you're feuding with this guy, then you're a tag team a year later, you know, then you hate each other again, and then, you know, it's just like, it's too much, you know, like, if I would love to see a YouTube video of every Kane face and heel turn and transformation
I'm sure it's out there.
Whatever, you know, transformation into Kane, to corporate Kane, to whatever Kane, to horseshoe haircut Kane, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's insulting to wrestling fans, you know, to that, you know, if this is quote unquote real or like a long narrative story, it just it makes absolute no sense at this point. Where, you know, if it was, maybe it was simpler times, but if you look, you know, back to, you know, early WCW or early WWF, you didn't see too much of that, you know, this flip flopping back and forth. You know, maybe you did, but it's just less memorable. I'm not sure. But, you know, like, when I see the Big Show on my TV, I'm just like, you know, you don't watch Raw for a couple weeks, who knows? Who knows where he stands?
And he jokes about it on Jericho's podcast. He goes, I don't know when I walk in the building if I'm going to be a heel or a face. So he doesn't even know. Well, perfect example, too, is on SmackDown, the Ascension comes out, and with Stardust, and you're like, okay, finally, Ascension has a purpose with Stardust. You know, it could be pretty cool. Then last night on Raw, they're a jobber status to Roman and Dean. They're fed to them. They lose in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like the writers for SmackDown and Raw. I know there's different sets, but there's no you're not continuing any storyline. There's too many shows. You got main event. You have superstars. You have NXT. There's so many other shows and YouTube and social media that I feel like you're just stringing along these guys who are pretty talented. Not as talented as the Attitude Era, but pretty talented. That it's just too many shows and too many hours.
I think there's just too many writers, and there's too much of a disconnect.
Well, they're not wrestling writers; they're Hollywood writers.
Well, you know, they could be Hollywood writers. That's fine, but I just think there's too many of them. You know, like, there's not one guy writing the show. Like, Glenn, you're a writer. You're writing segment 5. Steve, you're a writer. You're writing the open. You know, it's all got to go through Vince, but even still, you know, how much can that guy filter all at one time? You know what I mean? Like, back in the day, it was like Vince, Pat Patterson, and Bruce Pritchard writing everything, you know, and it made perfect sense because it was a controlled atmosphere to where, you know, they could figure out exactly what they wanted to present, and that was it. The company's much bigger than it was now, but I don't know. It just seems like there needs to just be one person guiding the ship and come up with a set vision and go with it.
And maybe it's not the whole thing, the whole show itself. And I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly how it works backstage at WWE, because I don't. But even the idea of you have one person in charge of one storyline, and that storyline across all mediums. So whether it's Raw, SmackDown, Superstars, main event, like you said, Glenn, or the network and social media, and working with these people involved in it and be like, here's what you got to do. This is where we want to go with it. And, so they collaborate. Okay, well, guys, whoever makes the matches, and it's like, well, on SmackDown, this person's going to be wrestling this person because we need a match. It's like, okay, great. Well, here's how I'm going to fit that into my storyline, whether this guy's feud interferes, whatever the case may be. It's like if you take a page out of, I guess use kayfabe as a term, some of the best people in terms of storylines right now, and just going with them, are probably Alana and Dolph Ziggler. When you see these two taking the picture at Disney World together, and everything that adds to that whole story of Ziggler and Rusev and the feud that's going on there. But you don't have that for every single thing.
Social media is like such a problem as a promoter, because like it drives me nuts, because like, yeah, everyone's in on the gig or whatever, but like it'll drive me crazy if I'm like trying to like book a feud and like these guys are buddies, and outside of maybe they're talking outside of the AIW context, but they're like joking with each other on Twitter, or like having a good time. It's like it's so hard for a fan to just get behind something like that. It's like like we're to go back to the beginning of the podcast, like Nick Gage. You don't see Nick Gage tweeting that he's at Disneyland.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nick Gage is murder, death, kill all day on his Twitter.
All day long.
He's killing people.
That's the thing. A little bit of kayfabe might do wrestling a lot of good. You know what I mean? Because nobody leaves any mystery anymore. Like it's not even like just wrestling. It's just the whole world. I saw someone Facebook a picture of a kitty potty full of piss. You know what I mean? Like, oh look, my kid used the bathroom for the first time. It's like people just overshare.
Yeah, I would say that like Kevin Owens is probably fantastic at keeping character on social media and Twitter,
because his character is he's here to support his family.
Yeah, and
he hates everybody
else
that's going to stop him.
And he's just a jackass. What was it? We were talking once before, and I don't remember. Somebody said something stupid to him, and he's just like, block, and it's harmless, whatever they said to him. But he's like, oh, I don't like that you mentioned this person from WWE that I'm feuding with. Block.
It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's just responding to people. Must be laying in bed, responding to people, and people are like, oh, what if I played you at N64? And he goes, I'll win. Blocked. He's keeping the kayfabe.
And that's why I think, as much as people hate John Cena, that's also why John Cena has such a huge fan base, because John Cena's character gets to be the guy that's doing these things that he's doing all the time anyway, and it gets brought into it. John Cena's character is the guy that goes to do Make-A-Wish things all the time, and that's what John Cena is doing.
Like I have kind of a crazy story about John Cena, because you read that stuff or you see that stuff and you think like, this is just the company trying to, get good publicity or whatever. Well, there was Aaron Bauer, the AIW commentator, he works with people with developmental disabilities, and there was a client at his work who, I guess they use they use wrestling a lot to like kind of try to communicate with them. It's very simple, good people, bad people, whatever.
Right.
Well, there was a girl that loves John Cena, but she's never spoken in years. She's a mute, and Aaron Bauer had like a Kevin Owens shirt on at work one day or something, and she would always like point and like give like a thumbs down, whatever. And so long story short, like after the second match where Owens tapped out to Cena, Aaron Bauer goes into work the next day, and that mute girl goes, "Tap, Owens, tap." It's the first words that she's ever said.
That's awesome.
Well, I contact some people that I I know in WWE, and I tell them the story, and they relay the story to John Cena, and next thing I know, John Cena is, sending a message saying, what's the address for that girl? So I get the address to the place, and John Cena, within one day, shipped her overnight every single piece of merch that he had available for free, just because. And there's no publicity about that. There's no story about that. He just did it because he said that's why he does what he does for stories like that. And I saw a picture of everything that he sent. It was, at least $500 worth of just every color shirt, every color hat, every piece of merch he had, just because he heard the story about how this mute girl spoke for the first time based on a wrestling match that he had. So John Cena is all right in my book, man.
Yeah,
like, that's,
absolutely.
That's, you could say all you want about him, but that guy lives for doing good deeds, and that's admirable because I don't know that I would do that.
Just don't get any. Don't encounter a drunk John Cena. It's not pretty.
Well, I'll take note of that.
All right then.
There's many stories of.
Is it like encountering a drunk John Thorne?
Oh, you don't want to do that either.
Yeah, but then you factor in
but he's
Cena
larger?
being well,
He's more muscular?
yeah, you factor in
Slightly.
Yeah.
I'm small but
Slightly.
muddy.
That's right.
All right, you got a few minutes left, and we haven't even talked WWE. We haven't even talked
Well,
about
but we haven't. We haven't talked WWE storylines.
the trombone.
We forgot that those
Xavier
existed.
Woods.
I'm a big fan of the New Day.
Huge. This show is huge.
When they first
of
came
New
on the
Day.
scene, I was like,
Yeah.
these guys are going nowhere.
This
is
I
stupid.
don't think we did that. Glenn and I were like, all right, some
we
of
were,
the stuff
we were against that.
we're like, well, what they're doing is dumb, but we didn't like what they were doing with them, but we liked them. Does that
You
make
look
sense?
at like a guy like Big E, and you're like, this guy is going nowhere. He's
Yeah.
just a muscle guy. Totally changed my perception.
Yeah.
Like they've come up with a shtick, and this is, I hate to keep saying like the promoter thing or whatever, but like more wrestlers need to come up with a shtick. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
hey, Glenn, you hate Frankie Flynn,
Yeah.
but he's got a thing. You know what I mean? He's not just a guy in tights, just out there wrestling. He's got a thing that has made he's made people either love him or hate him.
Put some pants on that boy.
You don't like those tights?
I don't
that
like
tight
the
look?
tights.
I
Dude,
don't
I want
like
him to
those
wear the
thighs.
pants.
No, put
I
some.
think the pants will add more to the Prince of Broadway
No way.
theme
I
for him
like
too.
I like what he's got. That
He's got to do
cape.
the pants and the cape. Pants and cape.
that dirty bedsheet of a cape.
He spent some money on that. It used to have a hood on it, but we said it looked a little bit.
Right? Yeah. I
I'm
think
sure
we
it
talked
costs a
about
lot
that
of
on
money to
here
buy a
before.
dirty bedsheet at the Salvation Army.
Hey,
Pants and cape.
Frankie Flynn, man. Wait till Frankie Flynn's going to be the next guy signed to the NXT roster. I
Yeah,
think.
I'd love it.
That's
All
my
right,
prediction.
Good
We're
for him.
this is recorded, and we're gonna. If he signs NXT, if Frankie Flynn,
I'm going to use that John Cena phone number
Signs.
that I got
You know
through
how many
that text.
You know how many times the show's been derailed by Frankie Flynn tangents?
I get so upset about Frankie
What
Flynn.
do you say about Frankie Flynn when I'm not here? I'm a little behind on my podcasting.
I mean, the same things we say when you are here.
It's a little jabs
I
here and
defend
there.
his honor, and Glenn goes
Shits
after
at him.
Who's your favorite student?
Frankie Flynn.
You know what? Kaplan was when that first debut match. He came out, and Kaplan was mine. Then I saw Absolution needs some work. Obviously, I'm no fucking teacher myself, but but I would say Daniels is probably my fave, just because he's so far
Front runner,
advanced.
Glenn. Front runner. Picking
mean-
the guy that was main eventing already.
I mean, Singh is
Frankie
up
Flynn.
there too. I mean, what am I to say?
Sing. We're giving him a new gimmick called the Concession Man. He's going to sell popcorn.
He's good.
Why
I
are you
like
going to
that.
bury him?
He likes popcorn.
Can he answer from the crowd?
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
We're going to give him a little hat like a
A hot dog guy hat?
Yeah, hot
yeah,
dog
there
hat.
you go.
No,
the
don't.
Concession Man.
He's down for that?
No,
Of course not.
of course not.
But anyway, bringing it full circle, back to the New Day. They also were part of good storytelling. When I talk about how long it took them to tell the story of EC3 or TNA, the New Day, their ongoing story for their characters has been the better part of this year.
Well, I think it was more just a switch of turning them heel, not
Yeah.
forcing them as a goody-goody preacher, face.
But they didn't abandon it.
No, they didn't abandon the whole faction, but It's a simple heel turn. Simple heel turn.
Yeah.
They're positive, but in a condescending way.
They are still positive.
And ever since that photo I took with them, WrestleMania, they've been turned around.
Sure, yeah, they've been hot since then.
I was like, okay, I'll get a photo with these guys because they're probably going to get fired or disbanded soon. And ever since the photo, dude, they're hot.
Glenn thinks he's just got the
He
touch,
does.
huh?
He does.
I do.
Thinks he's got the Midas touch.
I don't know. Frankie Flynn. What if Frankie Flynn joins the New Day?
God. No.
Is he black?
Yeah, why would he?
Vince
join the
won't let
New
that
Day?
happen.
Yeah.
He's racist.
How do you know he's not black?
I don't. That's what I was asking.
If you see him in tights, he's not black. Talking about
He might be one of those light-skinned brothers.
Is Greg Irons on this show coming up?
Yeah, he's in the Intense Division Scramble.
Over under Greg Irons' ass comes out during the course of the AIW show this week.
Under, because we're at a church.
Okay.
We have strict rules.
I think it
at
came
the Mount
out.
Carmel.
It came out last time at Mount Carmel
No, it came out of Absolution for like the whole match.
for the whole match.
Yeah.
The entire time.
We have a Brian Danielson. The first time we booked him, he wrestled the entire match with his ass out against Johnny Gargano.
God.
Double-edged sword on DVD at shop.aiwrestling.com. There's also a video on our YouTube channel where he talks about his ass.
There you go.
There you go.
Says if you want to see Brian Danielson's ass, go buy this DVD. It's got quite a bit of hits on it. Not as much as my hits on the YouTube though.
Well, no, yours are huge.
Yeah.
Hashtag get John Thorne famous.
I'm trying to just, I gotta get, I gotta
You
get
know,
like,
I
I gotta
end
get like
every-
famous
I end
enough.
every show with that.
I gotta get like famous enough to get like my own like VIP table at the FWD Day and Night Club or something.
Oh, God.
Probably hook you up, set you up with some things there.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that's your clientele, buddy.
Me. I'm making moves.
Look, you get.
I'm trying to become one of those Cleveland socialites.
You get some of these
Cleveland
guys-
famous.
You gotta get somebody in there. You, me, EC3, a couple of these
He's
guys.
got his own Bloody Mary mix now.
And
you
we
see
can
that?
go to we can go to like the Barley House, or we can go to one of these clubs. Let's set you up. I can get us a table, no problem. We can
Bottle
do these things.
service.
Bottle service.
Put
we
the
can get it.
fireworks in there, whatever they do. When you
Absolutely.
get, I never,
God.
I never
Oh,
got
yeah.
bottle service. I just see it going through the.
Oh,
Going
sure.
through the crowd.
Let me know. We can-
$100.
We can make something like that happen.
Oh no, I don't want $100. I want to be famous enough to where they say this one's on the house.
That's what I'm saying. We can, we'll get some people in there.
That's what I need.
We can do that happen.
And you haven't done it for the show, but you're going to do it for AIW.
Yeah. Well, it's just you and me for the show. They're like, piss on that.
Still waiting for my free Weber grill.
Wow.
I mean, I tell you, I can get you. Listen, you, me.
I want bottle service, Weber grill.
You, me, we can get EC3. Glenn wants to go. We can all sit up there, and I could get.
EC
I can get Zayma Ion DJ gig.
Oh,
he could
DJ
guest
Z?
DJ spot.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
he'll do that. You know who else is doing guest DJing spots? Juventud Guerrera.
I told
my God.
DJ Z, listen, man, we need to make this happen. You let me know. I know people.
He's
We
like
can-
he's serious in the DJ scene too.
He won't. He
All right,
won't
this
take me
show
up
has
on it.
completely be derailed.
We derailed ourselves. We haven't
If
talked
you
about
do, if you
WWE
do one of
much at
those
all.
things, it's one more than we've done for the show.
What are you talking about?
Come on.
We had a pizza party
Yeah.
for NXT.
That was because of you.
No, but the point is,
Okay.
it still helps the show.
It does. It does. Anything helps the show.
It makes us look
And if you
cool.
follow us on Twitter at TIA Wrestling, that would help us too.
My idea, by the way.
Yeah, that was your idea. And you wouldn't follow it either.
I'm the marketing director.
Great job.
All right.
I can only. I have a
We can't
rule.
all
I
have a
I'll
job
follow.
that only takes 15 minutes a day.
I'll follow. Shh, hey, they might listen. I'll follow today. I have this rule where I will not follow over 299 accounts, but I just unfollowed some today.
It's a good rule.
I don't want to have following 300 people show up.
It's
That's
hard.
Like my weird
that
thing.
gets hard. I had that rule for 1,000. You just say fuck
You
it.
follow 1,000 people?
1,400.
Oh man,
I don't know what
I hate following 200.
Yeah, I don't even follow the
A lot of
people
follow
when I follow
backs.
them.
I mean, way back when I first started, it's like, oh, you followed me, I followed you, man. I gotta clean up. A lot of sports people, a lot of wrestlers, a lot of hot girls.
I saw you went to a concert with a hot lady this weekend.
My friend, yeah.
Friend, huh?
Bad Brad Paisley,
I
yeah.
was scoping her pics out on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Oh, Elise, yeah. She's a wrestling fan.
Tell her to follow me on Twitter. At John Thorne.
At John
AIW.
Thorne,
That's
AIW.
John, yeah. Good luck with that.
Been a lot of hot water with the ladies these days.
All right, we're over an hour. Let's wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
Do we talk about AIW at all? Do we want to mention?
We talk. We
I'm not
opened-
AIW,
we
WWE. All we did was talk about
we
AIW.
analyzed WWE this whole podcast.
Yeah.
What are we missing out on any storyline? Do you love Sting being this whole Sting Seth Rollins thing? Have you seen that at all? Do you care?
About the statue.
Yeah, or even Sting in general,
I hope
feuding
Sting
with
gets
Seth Rollins.
I hope Sting gets the belt.
God, I hope
Does
not.
that add prestige to the belt?
No,
Does that-
he's not gonna get it.
Does that add anything to?
You guys got to follow Words Big 80s on Twitter. He's got this gift that he sends out all the time because he hates Sting.
Yeah.
It's just Kurt Angle just hitting Sting in the face for real with a baseball bat. In TNA, it happened sometime. Like he was supposed to block it. When
yeah.
he doesn't get his hands up in time, and Kurt Angle just cracks him in the face. Funniest thing I've ever seen.
How much do you think it would cost for you to get Kurt Angle?
$5,000. I don't know. I'm just throwing that number out there.
You can get Larry Zbyszko for
Would you do it?
600.
Would you do Kurt Angle for that kind of money? Could you make that back? You'd have to put the entire AIW.
Ric Flair tried to get on Absolution. He wanted $15,000.
The whole show would just be. Oh man.
Wait, he tried to get on, or you tried to get him?
He tried. His people emailed us. He must have been
Oh
in the area.
wow!
They said to make an offer, but we didn't because we were already sold out.
15,000 for Ric Flair. God, that guy.
Yeah, I would do it though if I had it. Once I get Cleveland famous, I get a couple endorsements
Well,
out of
you
you guys. Spending that $15K right on the Nature Boy.
We can't even get endorsements ourselves. So good luck.
You guys got Weber grills.
Nah.
They're
we
off
don't
the
push
ship.
that anymore. We we have
have
do
no clue.
every show.
Edit off my plugs.
Before every show, though, we do chow down on some Chipotle each week.
Yeah.
Shout out to at Chipotle tweets.
What are you, Jim Ross in it? Sonic sweet tea in it?
The thing is though, we got to give them money for the food. So
Seriously,
don't
though,
promote
I
it.
need
I
to start tweeting at them.
sponsorships, man. You guys got to get this
Listen,
Matt Fish from Melt. Give me my own sandwich. It's gonna help my celebrity status.
I had a busy couple months here.
I want
okay?
chicken fingers on it. I
Did
want
some
tater tots on
traveling.
it.
This guy's gonna go to Miami, so
I
this
just
show might not
moved-
go on.
I just
might get a new
moved.
co-host.
Where'd you
So-
move? Where'd you move?
Out to Avon Lake.
Oh, rich guy.
No, it's actually saved money.
Talk about your roommates.
Living with a friend that's a property manager.
Oh, a little free space to live, huh?
Not free, but very cheap.
You're what are you, the groundskeeper, quote unquote?
I got my own bedroom. It's great. 1,400 square feet. Hang out with the dog.
I
It's a
can't
golden
live-
doodle.
I can't live with people.
It's fantastic.
It doesn't work out. Last time I lived with somebody, I got sued.
I live with 2 people now.
2 girls.
2 girls.
2 girls, huh?
Yep.
Three's company over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't understand the reference.
Oh, they
They're
must be
younger
young.
than I am.
Yeah,
Yeah,
young,
they're
huh?
younger than I am.
Just young and hot.
They're like, oh, I've heard of that, but I don't really know what it is. I was like, it's a
Do you
TV
let
show.
them? Do you
for
let them
people.
listen to my sensual voice on this podcast?
I will. I'll play it for them.
What are what are their names?
I'm not going to disclose
Candy
that
and
information.
Mandy.
Oh boy.
Hey, Candy. Hey, Mandy.
Yep, that's their names.
Sup, girls?
Hey.
Are we calling Scott Steiner? Are we calling Scott Steiner?
He's gonna answer this time.
That
I
was
think.
that's the subtle. We have so much to talk to Scott Steiner now about this time. We want to know if he'll
Yeah,
go to
we
the
have
Hall of
so
Fame.
much.
Hulk Hogan's.
Did you see he
in
was on
hot
the
water.
WWE survey today?
Scott Steiner?
Yeah,
Oh, for
they,
what?
they said what return do you think would get the biggest crowd reaction?
Obviously Scott Steiner.
It's like Bill Goldberg, Scott Steiner, Kurt Angle,
Well, Kurt Angle's been so long that it might be him.
Jeff Hardy was on there. They're just
Yeah.
ready to sign everybody that was in TNA, probably.
Who do you think would?
Big Bat Booty Daddy.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
As soon as those sirens hit,
I gotta
Now-
talk him down on his feet.
if Kurt Angle were to return and his music hits, because it's been so long, would people chant "You suck" or would they go nuts and be happy about it?
Oh, they go nuts.
No
Yeah.
Steiner. No Steiner.
No more "You suck" to that.
No, they
No,
would go nuts.
you mark out for that, man. No suck.
Yeah.
Just go crazy.
All right.
Isn't it amazing that these people were in TNA, like the Dudley Boys, were in TNA for like longer than they were ever in the WWE, and like they just come back and they're just like the most fucking over thing ever
Are you
in
loving
WWE.
the Dudley Boys back right now?
Eh,
I'm loving them back because I feel like they are having more fun right now than what they did
I mean, I think it's good
because of
to
the love they're
have,
getting.
you know, to have people with experience, like,
Teach these other guys.
because if you look at the roster, it's not a lot of them have any big game, you know, quote unquote experience outside of Cena.
Yeah.
You know, on that stage. So it's probably good to, you know, have these guys working with people like the New Day and stuff on like the house show loops and things
Yeah.
like that. You know, getting them, getting them ready to go.
Devon, on Twitter, somebody mentioned Devon, and he goes, we're happy to see that Dudley's making an impact on WWE. And Devon responding, do not say that word impact to me ever again. Bad memories.
He says it gives me bad dreams.
Bad dreams.
You get all your news on Reddit Squared Circle too, huh?
No, I follow Devon on Twitter.
Oh, not me. I can only follow 299.
Well, yeah, it's not on there.
He didn't make the testify. Devon didn't make the cut.
Do you like a stronger tag team division with full-on tag teams that they keep together for a while?
I love tag team
Or do you like when
wrestling.
they just throw people together and then they're gone? And
I think tag team
and
wrestling
gone?
is like a lost art, man. I love.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You're like Stone
Agreed.
Cold.
I love me some tag team wrestling. That's why there's
I do too.
there's quite a bit of tag team wrestling usually in the AIW.
I loved Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. Poor Tyson Kidd. What a man. Loved watching those two as a tag team.
He had shitty airbrush tights though,
Yeah, but that's fine.
and kick pads.
But then we talk about. I mean, I still enjoy the Lucha Dragons. They bring a different element to
Yeah, Sin Cara
the tag
botches
team.
every single time.
Fuck
Well,
Callisto, man.
taking risks. It's fine. It's cool.
I hope Callisto gets
Sin Cara's
fired.
terrible.
Callisto owes me $50.
Well, F that guy.
F him.
New Day. I love the New Day, obviously. Primetime players, enjoyable. I'd like to keep these.
My man Monsoon Classic on Twitter at Monsoon Classic. His dream match
Yeah.
is Titus O'Neil versus Brock Lesnar on Raw.
Jeez.
He's trying to get that hashtag going. Titus versus Brock.
Those two are so massive.
Yeah, let's get that going on the MSG special.
Where's Brock Lesnar?
Getting ready for the MSG special.
Oh, that's right.
That's
October 3rd.
same weekend as.
Yeah, I'm going
3rd.
head to head.
Oh God, you're going.
Look out.
head-to-head.
We're going head to head.
All right, that's right.
Frankie Flynn, fresh meat
All
versus
right,
the
yeah.
Brock Lesnar at Madison Square Garden
I'll
show.
pay to see that. I'll pay to see that.
Well, thankfully, I can watch Brock Lesnar afterwards on the network.
Spoiler alert: if anybody listens this far to this nonsense,
I think they might have stopped listening.
Yeah, they did.
it's going to be Frankie Flynn versus Eddie Kingston on October 3rd at Fresh Meat.
Oh,
look at
yeah.
you dropping bombs at the 1 hour and 9 minute mark.
Justin Summers will be excited about it. He's the only one listening right now.
Yeah.
The Ohio Report.
Thanks for listening, Justin.
Breaking news.
The Ohio Report.
Frankie Flynn, if he survives training and
No way, man. I bet you my podcast appearances give you guys a little bump. I got a nice little bit of followers that listen to my podcasting.
all right.
I got at least 10 people that listen to every one I do.
We
Oh,
appreciate those 10 people.
Yeah, it's
Dustin
great.
Alberti's probably listening. Words Big 80s is listening. Leonard F. Carlson.
I know one of your referees, Mr. Tom Dunn, listens to the show.
Oh, Tom Dunn.
Frankie Flynn actually sometimes listens to the show.
Yeah, he heard our bash.
He doesn't have an
Can I-
internet connection though, so he's got a little trouble.
Can I work with Frankie like on the personality stuff? You know, like I'm a creative guy, I do stand up and everything else. Wrote a book. I mean, can I work with Frankie on character development? Is that allowed?
I think he's got a character. What are you
Yeah,
going to
but I mean, like,
develop?
just nuances of it.
What do you got? What do you got?
Well, one pants.
That's no character development. That's
And,
that's
I
wardrobe.
gotta watch it a bit more. Wardrobe's part of the character. Absolutely.
don't
I
know.
missed the mask. He had the
See,
mask.
everyone
at
tries to
first.
weasel their way into the creative team.
He had the
You give them
mask.
an inch, they try to take a
I
mile.
don't want to be a part of the whole creative team. I just
Character development. You're
big-
trying to start your own division.
I'm a big Frankie fan. I just want to help him there. Yeah. Do you want me? I'll be your head of.
Wait till he takes Eddie Kingston to his limit on October 3rd.
I will be the head of
Just for Glenn.
character development. There you go.
I'm going to tell him to call Glenn out.
We just made a new rule. Head of character development.
Hey, we'll get Frankie Flynn.
Let's get Frankie Flynn in studio.
Yeah,
That's what I keep saying.
We'll get him on the show.
Phone call probably though. Glenn doesn't want to look at him.
No, I told Glenn we need to go to training one day and like record live in training and maybe talk to a couple of guys and be like, hey, what's it like going through
Oh,
this?
you don't want to go in that building, man.
Yeah,
Why not?
during training.
Yeah.
Smell terrible.
No, it's very it'd
Sacred.
be so loud.
Yeah, sacred.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
That's you're in the locker room. Get Frankie. What's the rule with the newbies? They're not allowed in the locker room like a certain time. I've
We don't have those kind of rules.
no.
I'm sure there are rules like that, but that's just some old wrestling like fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like that's stupid. Like we let them in the locker room because that's where they get to mingle with the guys and develop relationships and network themselves and talk and get feedback. And
Who's your
ask
locker
advice.
room leader? Who's the Undertaker of the locker room?
Josh Prohibition.
You have Kangaroo Court. You have Wrestlers Court.
If there is, I try to stay out of it. I know that at Battle of the Sexes, there was talk of Joshua Singh being called in the wrestler's court
There was.
with allegations made by Colin Delaney, and I said I don't want to know anything about
I
it.
overheard some of this. Yeah.
What's the by most extreme allegations, or probably the one that moves the needle allegations in your locker room that's happened?
Murder.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Like, there's really never.
Come on, you know.
There's not been too much of that. I mean,
we've been it's a good locker room.
I mean, everyone here's the thing. Like, if somebody is shady or like bullshit, we just don't book them because like we don't want those type of people around.
Yeah.
So I would say for the most part everybody gets along. There's no, weirdness. Maybe like there's nothing that really comes to mind, honestly. Wrestling court is kind of like it's kind of like almost like a joking thing on the independents. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm taking you to wrestler's court. I think there was like a wrestler's court thing for like somebody like sleeping in a car in Ethan Page's car or something.
Yeah.
But like nothing crazy. Like nobody's like stealing or banging somebody else's girlfriend or something like that.
It's probably good.
For the most part, we all get along. I mean, you guys kind of got to see a little bit of that at the Geek Fest, when I was more concerned with partying than the show. But for the most part, everyone gets along within the AIW locker room.
All right, we appreciate you letting us come to shows and do interviews. We'll be looking forward to knocking a couple out this weekend.
With the big shot.
Yes, Faith No More, AIWrestling.com. If you want more information, go on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everything AIW, and follow John Thorne AIW as well on Twitter. Thank you, John, for coming in to our studio here. Always a pleasure.
It's very nice,
Yeah.
I was slumming it on another podcast.
We're not just going to throw it on an iPad and,
I told those guys that they need to collaborate with you. Get together, maybe.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't collaborate.
No, you're not a collaborator.
We got to get our own shit together
Stop.
before.
Collaborate and listen.
Yeah.
Maybe you could sublease this studio out when the CLE sound people aren't here, and then you guys could start funding your when you break away.
We could have the vodka being made in the other room too.
Oh yeah, I forgot we're making our own vodka company.
Yeah. You ready for that still?
Dude, I'm
That'll
ready.
keep me in Cleveland.
I'm ready. I need
AIW
to be rich,
character
man.
development will keep me in Cleveland.
I need to be rich. I want to get my my own table at this fake Howling Moon Howl at the Moon that just opened up.
I told you we can get these things happen. The Big Bang. I don't know how. I haven't been in there yet.
It's the jungle. The jungle's still in the flats.
No, one's gone.
The basement.
I want to get my own table at the Beach Club.
Listen, you gotta
You can sit in the car.
Yeah.
convince these guys, like an EC3 or somebody. Oh, this is gonna be a good idea. We're all gonna.
He's got his own Bloody Mary mix. He's got his own cardboard cutout. He's the official spokesperson of Vegas
a
Fuel.
Bloody Mary. Somebody tell him to hit me up, and we can have a Bloody Mary mix party at this. Whatever. I need to go work for his company. We'll make them some money, and then we'll get into the vodka, and then we'll. Whatever.
I want my own platform at the FWD Day and Nightclub.
I don't know that they have those, but
We're gonna put one in.
we're gonna build it.
All right.
That's where you should do a show.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
It'd be
Do
insane.
it like Bash of the Beach. Do it like on the water. Do it in the pool.
Get it together.
That
You're
would
the,
be insane.
I want you. Don't be the head of character development. I want you to be the head of event promotions and marketing. You look
I'm
like
ready to go. I'm
a
ready
man
to-
that can make some moves.
I'm ready to go now. I got the move done. I gotta get internet installed at the new place, and then we're gonna go.
I'll work you out a nice percentage.
Yeah.
God.
Nice commission deal.
Welcome
right.
to Wrestling Business Talk here on This Is Awesome Wrestling Show.
Yeah.
You think anyone's listening?
No, not anymore at this
If
point.
you are, tweet at us. Let us know that you listen to the.
Please tweet me,
The password is.
and I will give you a prize at AIW on Friday. If
Hey,
you've
what
listened
I gotta
this
do
far.
to get one of those
that's
AIW
good.
old school calf shirts?
Listen this far.
Give me $20. I have a fresh box in the trunk of my car.
Oh, fuck that.
I just picked them up.
I gotta hit up Johnny. You better save one of those shirts for me. This
Box isn't even open yet. Still sealed.
Hey, I'll take one. Please.
Please. I told you. You got to give me $20. These things don't fall off trees.
I give you a book. It's worth $20. That's the retail value.
Retail.
I already gave you that. I already gave you that book. I already gave you that book.
Retail.
All right.
We'll work something out on
Yeah,
Friday
we'll
if I
work
got
it
some left.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next week. AIW this weekend. Follow us on Twitter at TIA Wrestling. Not .com. Website coming soon. I'm so discombobulated from this show.
Do you want to see my 9-step business plan
We
after we
even
go
talk-
there?
No, we got to get out of here.
We didn't talk about anything on this show.
Nobody's still listening.
No. We'll talk to you
You
guys
guys
next
just wasted my whole Tuesday.
Yeah, but here comes the big announcement.
week. No announcement. This is our last podcast. I'm done.
John Thorne and I are going to start our own. It's going to be called #GetJohnThorne Famous.
It's going to be Vodka Cleveland.